Hi, happy Monday. David Dobrik, need I say more? YouTube's golden boy, winner of the 2020 Streamy for Best Collaboration. Surprising people with Justin Bieber. Side note, I love the collaboration section for the Streamies. Here's all the Streamy nominations for Best Collaboration in 2021, and it's funny just how many of them are just classic YouTube clickbait titles. Pianist and freestyle rapper Below Minds on Omegle, featuring Marcus Veltri. Imagine if the Oscars were like that. And the Oscar for Best Picture is, Immigrant Family Adjusts to American Rural Life. Gone Wild featuring Stephen Young. David Dobrik has been one of the most talked about people in the past few years on YouTube, whether it's for better or worse, and it's for worse for sure. David went from being the face of the platform, leading his army of vloggers with his infectious laugh, to being riddled with enabling sexual assault, being a scam artist, and almost ending the life of his friend. After a few failed apologies, David fell off the face of the earth for a short 4 months, only to return to the platform as if nothing happened, showing the world his cursed smile once again. David Dobrik smiles like a golden retriever if golden retrievers enjoyed giving alcohol to underage women. But today is less about David Dobrik and more about his friends. The people that not only forgave David for what he did, but continue to profit off of him by using his face for money, like a right-wing grifter using scare tactics to sell shitty children's books to parents who are afraid of socialism. That's a second channel reference. I'm just doing business, you know, I gotta promote myself somehow. These are the people that make videos of their own just because they happen to be friends with David Dobrik. Well, maybe that's a bit disingenuous. Some people like making videos for the love of the game, especially when you get free vacations to Hawaii, make thousands of dollars, and your songs get put on the radio because you're friends with David. But I do want to make a point that I'm going to try to be as objective as I can with my data in this video, because today, we're using math. I'm going back to the calculator to answer a question that I've had for a long time. Does David really help his friends make money with his presence alone? Can the face of a recently divorced DreamWorks character actually increase the views of a YouTuber struggling to hold on to relevancy, like an underage woman struggling to hold on to her friend as they leave David's party with too much alcohol in their system? Was that joke too far? Now, if you answered yes, I'd like you to ask yourself if David took it too far when he recorded his friend sexually assaulting a girl who was too drunk to consciously consent to him. Is this video getting too serious? If you answered yes, I'd like you to ask yourself if it was too serious when... No, I'm just kidding. I'm done. I'm done.
David Dobrik posted this TikTok. In the TikTok, he accidentally hits Natalie, makes her bleed. And now people in the comments are coming for him, saying stuff like, how's that funny? He's always hurting someone. Man's laughing when he legit smacked her in the face.
Okay, here's the deal. I'm going to take the vloggers who still record their own videos with David and take all their videos from the last year. I'm going to be separating those videos into two categories. Those with David's face in the thumbnail and those without. Then I'm going to take the average views of both of those categories along with some other statistical data to see if David's face really does give these creators a career. Now, I'm no master mathematician, but even I can realize when there's some major flaws in this experiment. So in an effort to be as transparent as I can be, I'm going to point those out and continue to point them out as we go through this video. The first one is, of course, how inconsistent YouTube views can be. Most of these videos obviously won't just have this huge change in views solely because of David. The views can be from the title of the video, the content within the video, and a ton of other factors. For someone like Scotty Sire, his music videos can have a severely less amount of views because his music isn't that great and his fans would rather just watch his vlogs. Lucky for him, he bloats his music videos with all of his popular friends so that they end up getting a lot of views. For someone like Jeff Wittick, his series about his face being absolutely obliterated due to David's ignorance and idiocy will end up having more views just because of how popular the video was at the time, regardless of whether or not David's in the thumbnail. Now, this potential statistical inaccuracy can be remedied by having a larger amount of data to pinpoint a constant in a larger category of videos. But since David's public reception has changed so much in the past year, and I don't want to sort through hundreds of videos panning out in like the last 5 years, I decided just to look through videos in this past year. For certain creators, I had plenty of videos to pick from, but for those who don't post as much, it was harder to find a concrete correlation in the data. A lot of these creators also didn't include David in a lot of their thumbnails. One of the creators only had David in 14% of their thumbnails, meaning if one of those videos happened to have a ton of views or barely any views at all, it's just going to heavily skew the data in one direction for that category. Now, skewing can happen in data when there's several outliers that are going to change the average views of a certain category by a large margin. Along with an abundance of data, this can also be remedied by calculating a median for the data as well. Now, this is a way to look at statistics that's often used in real estate to see the median price of a house in a certain area, because a lot of the super expensive houses can heavily skew the average price of a house in an area, even though that's not an accurate depiction of the housing in that area. So we're going to be looking at the average views in each category, but also the median views to make sure the data isn't too heavily skewed and we're not being disingenuous with any of our data. We'll be sure to revisit more statistical inaccuracies as they show up in our research in order to stay as transparent as we can. Unlike David, who doesn't know the definition of transparency because he tries to dodge it every time an accusation comes flying at him, like that excavator that flew at Jeff Wittick's face when David told him to hang off of it, like the sexual assault allegations that hang off of Jason Nash after he made out with Seth without his consent multiple times. With that, let's get to our first subject. I just want to get Toddy Smith out of the way, one, because I didn't know he existed before this video started. I honestly thought him and Scotty Sire were the same person. And two, because he's practically not a YouTuber and his content had so many statistical skews and inaccuracies that I could not get a read on the guy at all. In the past year, he's had videos getting anywhere from 18,000 to 300,000 views, and he's only posted 30 videos in the past year, with only 4 of those having David in the thumbnail at all. It's pretty clear that this isn't Toddy's full-time job, and if it is, I'm confused how he's able to go on so many trips to other countries with the little AdSense money he makes. Oh yeah, maybe it's because he's friends with the people who are getting views. Besides the fact that those friends are prominently featured in every single vlog he makes, I can tell he's friends with him because of his god-awful titles and thumbnails. My favorites being crazy lunch date with Hottie, where his girlfriend looks as excited as you probably could if you were on a lunch date with a guy named Toddy. You've got caught her doing this in Europe, a video with a thumbnail that I would expect from a very questionable family channel, not a 30-year-old grown man. But the one thing I do have to give him props for is being the only creator that actually gets fewer views when David is in his thumbnails. Now, Toddy's average views when David isn't in the thumbnail are around 120,000, but when he is in the thumbnail, he's only getting an average of 100,000 views.
Go home. I didn't stay.
Were you there the whole night?
No.
So you say you were there for 30 minutes. What I have here is a photo taken at 1:18 a.m. from one of the witnesses. All of you guys outside. Todd, you, Jonah, David. I'm assuming you were there when the girls arrived. They arrived around 11, so that means you were there for 2 hours.
Okay. To my recollection, I wasn't there for 2 hours.
This photo is timestamped at 1:18 a.m.
Next up, let's talk about Jeff Wittick, the man who almost lost his life as a result of David's ignorance and bloodthirsty need for views. In the past year, Jeff has gone through this big stage of his YouTube career, meaning that his views seem to be all over the place. Most of this is because for a few weeks, Jeff was airing his YouTube documentary about the incident with David and his eye, and it was a pretty big deal on YouTube at the time. This resulted in millions of viewers watching these videos, some which had David in the thumbnail and some which didn't have him in it at all. But this whole documentary revolved around this horrible thing David did, so he was inadvertently included in them either way, even if he wasn't really in the thumbnail. But I still kept my same formula and counted for the thumbnails alone. Now, Jeff only put out a total of 21 videos this year, 4 of which had David in the thumbnail. Another really low number with a lot of statistical inaccuracies at play. Even so, the average number of views of a video without David in the thumbnail was 2.2 million, while his videos with David in the thumbnail racked up an average of 4 million views. Now, these numbers were reflected accurately in the median results as well, meaning that even with the lack of statistical data we have, it's hard to deny that David didn't have some hand in the huge amount of views that Jeff racked up using his face. Even with only 19% of his thumbnails having David's face in him, 33% of his total views still came from those videos. But hey, I don't want to discredit Jeff for the views he was able to get. There was a lot of room for error here, so I'm not going to go too hard on him. But now I want to talk about the 2 creators who are certainly guilty of the crime that we came to investigate today. The first of our 2 is Jason Nash, the 48-year-old man who exclusively hangs out with kids who are old enough to be his children. Looking at Jason's thumbnails are like watching TV shows that are on air for way longer than they should be. Every single episode's the same, but they increasingly get weirder because it's been going on for so long and it's so old. Sorry, he's so old. Jason, that is. He's so old. He's 48. Now, a consistency that makes me cringe at Jason's content more than anything else is how often he calls these 20-year-olds his best friends in his YouTube titles. Now, it makes me sad that this man has kids who look up to him as the right-hand man of a 25-year-old violent with power who would probably throw away Jason in a second if it meant his career would suffer by keeping him around at all. Now, Jason's perfect for this experiment because he has so many videos. 72, in fact. Which, if you're looking at a guy like me, isn't that much, you know? I'm posting a video every single day. Go check out the Green Is Not Nick channel. But when it comes to the vlog squad in the past year, uploading has been a bit of an uphill battle for them, so I consider 72 to be a healthy serving of Jason's content. Now, Jason has some crazy dynamic range when it comes to the amount of views he gets on his videos, with videos being as low as 67,000 views all the way up to his most viewed video with 1.9 million views, which of course is David Dobrik's birthday vlog that Jason made. Now here's where the fun begins. Jason posted 72 videos, 28 of which had David in the thumbnail. Now this means that more than 1/3 of Jason's videos posted in the last year had David prominently in the thumbnail, and that's in 2021, which is probably the worst year to have David Dobrik in your videos. Now, if we look at the average views, the videos without David in the thumbnail have an average of 318,000 views, while the videos with David in the thumbnail had a staggering average of 512,000 views. Now that's a 61% increase just when David's ugly mug happens to be in the thumbnail. Our median calculation projects an even harsher reality with a 64% increase in views. Now the craziest statistic is that even though David is only in 39% of Jason's thumbnails, the total number of views from those videos surpasses the total views for all of the videos without David in the thumbnail by 300,000 views. Now those are some pretty clear-cut numbers, but there still is one more creator that I researched in my experiment, and that's Scotty Sire.
Don't call it sharing your truth if you're sharing a lie.
My arch nemesis. The Music Man, the Ratio Ranger, the Insecure Imbecile, the Alliteration Avenger, Scotty Sire. Now I don't want to dive too far into my relationship with Scotty, but I do want to dive into his videos today. Scotty put out 39 videos in the past year, ranging from big production music video shoots with his popular friends to sad, desperate attempts for views. My favorite video of his has to be the one titled, "We Tried Gluten-Free Cookies, Very Exciting," accompanied by a thumbnail that looks like he just hit the craziest drug he could find and he's just losing his mind. Now, where I give Scotty credit is that out of the 39 videos he posted in the last year, only 8 of them included David in the thumbnail. Now that's a solid 21%, a little over 1/5 of his videos, which isn't that crazy. If I knew all the Vlog Squad members, I would include a statistic seeing what kind of views the other members pulled, because basically all the Vlog Squad thumbnails feature someone in them besides the person making the video. But unfortunately, they all look the same to me and I have no idea who's who. So Scotty doesn't seem to be milking his friend for views in the same way that Jason does, but unfortunately most of it does come unconsciously. Now, if we look at the average views for each category, Scotty gets around 182,000 views for a video without David in the thumbnail. For a video with David in the thumbnail, Scotty scores a whopping 400,000 views on average. That is a 120% increase. Almost double the increase that Jason scored from having David in his thumbnails. Now to be fair, Scotty had way fewer videos with David in the thumbnail, so a few lucky videos could heavily skew these numbers. But even with the median views, we're looking at a 99% increase. If we want to go even further and give Scotty the benefit of the doubt, I took out the highest and lowest number in each section and recalculated to remove some of the outliers that could be skewing the data. Now, even with all that data taken into account, I'm still seeing a 77% increase in views from videos that feature David in the thumbnail. I mean, the math does not lie here, people. I'm doing everything I can. Here are my thoughts on my little experiment. I think that a lot of the math doesn't do Scotty or Jason any favors at all. I want to be fully transparent, so I'm going to point out a few more things that I think should be addressed. Now, Jason's huge number of having David in his thumbnails does have to do with the fact that he's the closest person to David, and in a lot of ways it's normal for a vlogger to have their friends in their vlogs, and therefore they're going to end up in your thumbnails a lot of the time. But when money comes into play and there's such an obvious shift of views when your friend happens to be in the thumbnail, it makes things feel awkward and the motive behind it seems a little bit different. Now for Scotty and the other members of the Vlog Squad, I don't really feel like they have a strong motive to use David for views in their thumbnails. I'm sure they're all aware that David's the main draw for their channels in the first place, but it's good to know that they aren't abusing that and they're mostly trying to stand on their own without using David's face, at least in the thumbnails. Maybe he's in the video and that also helps the views, but I wasn't about to scrub through every single video of theirs to see if David would maybe pop up in the background for a second or two. But other than that, I think that the math makes it pretty obvious that David's big, fat, wet smile draws in views. At least with the information we have, it's hard to deny the fact that that doesn't have a big factor. I'd be interested to see if his face affected the views even more back when Vlog Squad was like at its peak. But that's a video for another day and a lot more work. For me, as long as these people are still friends with David, they're continuing to tell us that his actions are not worth his removal from their videos and frankly from their life. Scotty can pretend that he's sorry that everything happened and that he's sorry for the victims of David's actions, but every time I see David running around in the background of one of Scotty's videos, I'm reminded that Scotty is actively prioritizing his career over the victims that suffered as a result of David's idiocracy and lack of empathy for anyone who isn't continually churning the wheel that fills his pockets with money. Hey, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video and you want to become the next member of the Vlog Squad, all you gotta do is smash that subscribe button into the side of an excavator. If you want more content like a lot more content, you should go check out my second channel, Green is Not Nick. I post a video every single day that I'm not posting a video here. That's right, you can hear my screechy voice every single day. Follow me on all my socials, the links are in the description down below. I tweet a lot and I post pictures of my cat. I'm basically the most stereotypical human you've ever seen. That's all I have for today. I'm gonna go make videos with a 48-year-old man. Bye!